So first off, the hair. Um, I went 18 months and without a haircut because of COVID. Finally got my haircut last June by my kindergarten class. We raised money for the San Antonio Food Bank. They literally cut off 18 months worth of hair. There is pictures at that link below of them doing so. I was essentially bald with bald patches and a particular Z carved in the back of my head for a while, but we raised close to $3,000 for the food bank. I was not planning on doing it again, but on the very first day of school this year, the first question, I think it was one of, if not the very first question, was, when are we going to cut your hair, Mr. Jason? And then I immediately was like, oh, okay, apparently this is now a thing. So anyways, they are going to cut my hair again the first week of June. We are again raising money for the San Antonio Food Bank. If you are in a position in your life to donate money and you're interested in doing so, every dollar donated feeds 7 people. It is an amazingly efficient organization. They are always in need of money, of funds, of food, especially now in times of COVID. That is the link if you want to donate. It's their website. Pictures of the previous year's haircut, including my kids holding up swaths of my freshly cut off hair, are there. So anyways, thanks. If not, if yes, whatever, sit back and enjoy this video. Thanks. Welcome, people. My name is Shaggy, the opinionated hippie. Started this channel to devote it to all things Frank Zappa. We are now under the umbrella of Frank Zappa's The Big Note, and we are discussing King Crimson for the past several videos, courtesy of Adrian Belew. I also found out another connection recently. Oh, Eddie Jobson. Eddie Jobson, who played with Frank in 76, 77, overdubbed... I did not remember this, or maybe I did not know, overdubbed the violin parts on USA, the original version of USA. Something that I just all of a sudden was very, very aware of in this most recent listening to that. So there's that connection. So there's actually 2 connections to Zappa and Crimson, if not more, I'm sure. But anyways, yeah, so I've already done the albums and the songs, and so now this is a ranking of the live albums. It is going to be in 2 videos. There are 19 of them by my counting. I am not doing the massive box sets. If it has more than 4 discs, I will not be discussing it. I think I have everything on here. I don't have collector's club stuff or like the weird sort of website only downloads. I don't have anything that you just can't like access through like a regular CD store. I think it's these 19. Though 2 of them might not be that accessible anymore. I'm still including them. But I think I also at some point down the line, but not for a long time, I think I'm going to revisit all the Collectors Club CDs because those are fantastic. I am including Live in Chicago on here, which was like a special edition Collectors Club, but that seemed to have been promoted like a regular release. So Live in Chicago is on this list. Couple things I want to say is every single album on this list is excellent. I have no complaints about any of them. But if I'm going to rank them, somehow I have to figure out some sort of like metric why one is number 1 and another is 19. So a lot of it comes down to whether or not the era that the tour is, that the live show is represented elsewhere on the list. One tour in particular, or one era in particular, has 7 releases. So almost by necessity, they're going to have to occupy a lot of the back end of the list, and so anytime there's duplicates, usually I'll like one of them a lot more and kind of lean towards it, and so the other one just kind of naturally falls, but they're nonetheless all fantastic. Also, Live Crimson is very much, there's not very much bleed between eras. 21st Century Schizoid Man was played by every band except for the bands in the 80s. I don't think the 80s band ever played that. But that was the only song that kind of carried through. John Wetton only sang John Wetton songs. Like, he didn't sing anything that anybody else sang other than 21st Century Schizoid Man. Adrian Belew only sang Adrian Belew songs. And when they covered King Crimson, they covered Red, Lark's Tongue in Aspect 2, Talking Drum, instrumentals. So until the current era, and I'm probably getting into this earlier than I need to because it'll come up later, but I'll get rid of it now, and then when it comes up later, I'll call back to this. The current era is the only era in which you have a singer who is singing songs that Adrian Belew sang, that John Wetton sang, Boz Burrell sang, all those guys. Greg Lake sang. And so this is the first time you have one singer who is singing all of this stuff. And so it has a different vibe. I will address what that vibe is when I get to the first release, or the second release mainly. But yeah, so that is something that is very particular about the King Crimson thing. And so my point was, if you like a certain era of King Crimson, you're pretty heavily rooted in that era, because other than the current era, there really is no bleed over. It's like, that band broke up, we're writing new material and starting from scratch. That band broke up, we're writing new material and starting from scratch. But we're going to keep 21st Century Schizoid Band, except for the 80s for some crazy reason. But anyways, yeah, that's it. I'm already rambling. I'm already almost 5 minutes in, and I got 9 albums to go. So I'm going to try to keep this brief. But yeah, these are the bottom 9. There will be a second video for the top 10. But on to number 19. Number 19, Live at the Orpheum. This is the first of 7 releases, both the first on this list and the first to be released, of the current era, which was 7 members, eventually became 8, the 3 drummer lineup. So you have Pat Mastelotto, don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, who had been around since Thrack, Gavin Harrison, Bill Rieflin, who also played like synthesizers and keys and would eventually move to synthesizers and keys, and Jeremy Stacy, I think, joined the band in 2017, if I'm not mistaken. Not exactly sure about those dates. Tony Levin on bass, a new member to the band, Jaco Jakzik, don't know how to pronounce it, never heard it said, Jakszzyk, Jakzik, on guitar and vocals, and doing a pretty good job on vocals. Like, I think some of the songs, it works. Some of them, the John Wetton songs in particular, I'm like, I wish John Wetton was singing this, and it is a little too, not karaoke-ish, because the music is so incredible, but there is something about it that to me doesn't really work. Sometimes I think it works, sometimes it doesn't. About this release in particular, it was the first one that came out, so it's kind of neat in that way. Excellent track list, strong track list. You get a One More Red Nightmare, this was the first band that had played that song, let alone having a live version of it. A Construction of Light, but then you got The Letter, A Sailor's Tale, and A Starless, just being performed so well. About a 40-minute album. Kind of has to be relegated to the bottom of the list for me at this point, because we have 6 other releases and they're really lengthy, and they're just, a couple of them the band flexes a little bit harder, but it's not a bad listen in any way. It's just almost kind of like, I thought the first time I saw this, I somehow missed its original release, and I did not see this until the following release had come out. I think Live in Toronto was the next one, and that's when I discovered this. And I thought this was like a sampler, just because it is so short for King Crimson, and so, just seems so brief. But it's a good album, a good 40-minute album, and it's a great listen, but just number 19. Number 18, Radical Action to Unseat the Hold of Monkey Mind. This one has almost the exact opposite problem as the previous one. This is almost too much, and almost where that is just such a brief snippet. This is a much longer, more condensed, look at all this stuff, but done in a way that leaves me oddly unsatisfied. So it's a bunch of live tracks from the 7-person lineup. So Bill Rieflin is still also playing drums. Jeremy Stacy has not yet joined the band. But the songs have been resequenced so that they're thematically grouped on CD. There's one CD called Mainly Metal. The second CD is called Easy Money Shots. And then the third CD, I think, is Crimson Classics. And so songs that would normally be sort of mixed together and sort of complement each other in different ways are kind of, grouped together, which, me knowing that, just kind of, it's like, okay, this is a weird mixtape of live King Crimson, but they also edit out the crowd noise, and the performances are so clean and perfect, and the sound is so amazing that you kind of don't know it's a live performance a lot of the time. Plus, the songs are amazing. Like no complaints at all about the songs. You get samplings from all eras. You get some new songs in there, some excellent instrumental new stuff. Old stuff is done great. Mel Collins is friggin' amazing. Oh, did I forget to say Mel Collins is in this band? Yeah, I did, because I was holding him for last when I was going to mention him, because Mel Collins is the reason this tour is so fantastic. If I did mention him earlier, I'm glad I mentioned him again twice, because he deserves double mention. But anyways, yeah, 3 discs. It's not a bad listen in any way, and if you're only sort of a casual King Crimson fan, I think you getting this is just enough to like satisfy like the current era. It's missing some key songs that would be introduced later, but it is a really good representation of sort of this era of King Crimson. It is a great listen. It's just there are other things I would prefer to listen to, because there are live shows and there's audience noise and there's just a little more excitement in some of the other 5 releases from this tour. All right. Number 18. Number 17, Elektrik live in Japan. This is a single CD release, the final release of the sort of 90s, 2000 era, before the long hiatus, before we got the new era. So all you have on this are songs from the previous 3 albums: Thrak, Construction of Light, and Power to Believe. It's that 4-piece band with Baloo, Mastelotto, Gunn, and Fripp. It's my least favorite album area of King Crimson, so it falls to here. The performances are great. I think there's a lot of energy. I love Pat Mastelotto's just all around his sound, his odd mix of use of electronic and acoustic and weird sound. I think Mastelotto is brilliant, and even more so live. I don't know, the first half of the CD is kind of stale to me, and it isn't until an oddly almost spacey, very chill, but in a good way, one time, that for me the CD kind of turns around, and the latter half is much better than the first half. But it's not something I listen to very much at all, mainly because there is another release from this era that has a little more music and has an absolutely amazing third CD, and that's still to come. But yeah, this is 17, Elektrik live in Japan. Number 16, live in Toronto. This is the second release by the most recent incarnation of the band. We're still at 7 members. This is, I think, the complete show from Toronto, November 2015. The set list is just perfect. It is a really healthy balance of new material, more recent material, 70s material. There's nothing from the 80s, oddly enough. But everything else is really well represented. You got stuff from the debut album, you got stuff from the second album, you got stuff from Islands, you got stuff from Larkstung, you got stuff from Red. I'm sure there's other stuff in there I'm missing. It's just a really fantastic, well-balanced album, well sequenced. Sound is fantastic. All around great listen. But there are still 4 more releases from this era that are somehow better than this, all coming later, so the band, I think, is just getting better. But these tend to be at the back of the list for me because going to a Zappa connection, they remind me a lot of the 1988 Zappa band, in that I'm not going to say it's a greatest hits tour, because neither one of these bands has greatest hits, but there is an odd sense of like revivalism, like we're doing all of our old stuff, and like it's like fan service kind of. The music doesn't come across that way. It's incredible. Like, this band is amazing, and Mel Collins in particular elevates all this stuff to a next level. But because I can find all of these songs elsewhere in the catalog on albums that I've yet to talk about, if I'm in the mood for a song, I'm going to go to that original band. And if I can find a live version of that, which I probably can, because the King Crimson catalog is a good live catalog, I'm going to go to that. So these are all fantastic albums, but they're going to tend to fall to the back of the list because of this sort of revivalism feel that I think some of this stuff has, or at least it does. Number 15, live in Vienna. This is the 5th release of the new lineup but it actually includes material that was played prior to the fourth release, which is not yet on this list, but will be shortly on this video, to give that away. But I think it had a limited edition, maybe like an online collector's club release version. Then it was mass released in 2018, and it's material from the 7-piece lineup. Again, great stuff. Covers all periods. It has a nice little bonus tracks at the end, and where I think one of the very first performances of Fracture since the 70s is on there, plus some sort of like Robert Fripp soundscapes. So there's some nice little bonus tracks on the third disc, but it's essentially 2 really solid, really excellent sounding discs of this band doing material from all the ages, from all the eras. Sounds fantastic. If you like this era of band, you're either gonna want to get all of them or like this one. I don't know. It's really good live show. But yeah, I don't know what else to say about this era. This is just another really solid release representing the 7-piece lineup of like the 2016 touring band. Anyways, yeah, that's it. Live in Vienna. We're on to one more from this band next. Number 14, Meltdown, live in Mexico City. This is a 3-disc release covering 5 nights in Mexico City of the 8-piece lineup. This one is slightly above Vienna because this one has the entire Lizard suite that they've been doing, the latter half of Lizard. So that's kind of the thing that pushes it over the edge for me. But yeah, again, just 3 discs of really good 8-piece current lineup King Crimson. So yeah, I don't know what else to say. I think we now have we're on number 14, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So one more of these will make the top 10 before this video is over. And then one of them happens to inch its way into the top 10, and actually quite a distance into the top 10, just because of swagger. But yeah, I'm running out of things to say about the current lineup, but this is another excellent release. Fripp must really love this band, or these releases must be selling or something, because he has not been hesitant to release material from them, and it all sounds fantastic. So anyways, yeah, Meltdown, live in Mexico City. It's amazing. Number 13, Ba-Boom. This came out in 95. It's a recording of their first performances in October of 94 down in Argentina. It's called an official bootleg. I think the actual Argentina shows were heavily bootlegged, and this was sort of a response to kind of like, kill that on the market, and hey, we're just going to give you this document of the tour as we recorded it. So there are early versions, an early live version of this like 94, 95 band, but performances are great. The energy is great. You get like some thrack material kind of bookending the sets, and in the middle, and then with like a lot of good 80s material mixed in there, a lot of stuff off Discipline. You get 3 70s, Red, Talking Drum, Aspect 2, and then you get, towards the end of the set, you get a lot of the sort of like vocal numbers, it seems. Like there's a parade of like, I don't want to call them like the hits, but I think the pacing is off a little bit on the set list. But when I actually listen to it, I think I enjoy it a lot more than when I look at it and go, oh. But the energy is good. The performances are good. It's a solid show. It sounds absolutely fantastic. Yeah, it's just, again, we're still in the 90s. We haven't even got to the 80s yet, let alone the 70s. So, but yeah, still a really good document. If you like this era of King Crimson, you will not be unhappy with this. Ba-Boom, number 13. Number 12, live in Chicago. By this point, they are an 8-piece band. The set list are again an incredibly well-balanced mix of eras. Neurotica is now added to the mix. Islands is added to the mix. The Lizard suite, which is like the latter half of Lizard, is added to the mix. Just all excellent songs, great performances. Did I mention Mel Collins is in this band? Because Mel Collins is in this band. Yeah, just a fantastic sounding release, great energy. You just can't go wrong with this. Live in Chicago. But again, it has that sort of one guy trying to sing every single era. And for me, someone like John Wetton, you can't out John Wetton. I mean, that guy, yeah. But anyways, he does a really good job of on Greg Lake stuff, though. I think he's a good Greg Laker. And his Baloo stuff, he tries to not be Baloo, and so that kind of works. But anyways, yeah, you judge for yourself, or let me know what you think of Jaco. But anyways, it's number 12 on my list, Live in Chicago. Oh, came out in like 2017, or the show's from 2017. And I think it was also released in 2017, but I may be wrong about that. But this is where we now are in the current era. Number 12. Number 11, VROOM, VROOM. This didn't come out until like 2000, I think, 2001. But it is of the 95 band. This is the same band that was on Ba-Boom. I failed to mention that on the Ba-Boom reference. But this is the 6-piece band in which you have the 80s foursome, Baloo, Levin, Bruford, and Fripp, now joined by Mastelotto and Gunn. And then after this, Levin and Bruford would leave and Mastelotto and Gunn would stay. And so this is that same lineup. They have a more expansive set list now. The energy, they're just a tighter band, a bigger band than they were like, a year earlier. This is a 2-disc set. Excellent sound, as always. Excellent performances. You got a good mix of thrack stuff, plus a bunch of 80s stuff. So, plus Red, Lark's Talking Drum and Lark's Tongue and Aspect 2. Aspect 2, the 3 songs. Oh, plus they are now doing 21st Century Schizoid Man, so we're now getting versions of that. But yeah, and again, solid performances all around, great. But I like other eras better. But again, this is an incredibly enjoyable listen. The sequencing is really good on it. The energy is really good. But yeah, VROOM, VROOM, number 11. Failed to make the top 10. But it's a strong album, as are all of these that are on this list. And that's it for the bottom 19 through 11. They're all great albums, really. All my complaints are just reasons to justify placing them where on the list I place them. But yeah, you can't go wrong with any of them. How well you like them pretty much goes down to how well you like the songs themselves, because the performances are spectacular, the sound is spectacular. They really only have 3 releases with less than stellar sound. They're still yet to remain on this list. The sound doesn't bother me. The sound never bothered me anyway. I find that to be very true. But anyways, yeah, all sound great, all great releases. You can't go wrong with any of them. It just kind of all depends on like what you like a little bit more. And that's what will be in the top 10 coming to you soon. Peace. Thanks for watching. Let me know about these albums, and then maybe what you think will be number 1 and what your number 1 is. You know how comments work. We all know it. We're adults. We know how to comment. So bring your best comment game below. You all do. You will. And thanks. Subscribe. All that. Peace and happy listening, people. Happy listening.